Hi, folks. It's Ted Cantu with the endofadvertising.com. And today's question is, how do I double my practice? And this is a very good question because no matter what's going on in the world, I see a lot of consistency with professional offices, and they always get very apprehensive, and they're kind of this overall feeling of queasiness. They don't want to actually be aggressive and try new things, but if it was my office, and I always play this role when I walk into a selling situation or pick up a new client, I always try to pretend like it's my business. What would I do? And I go all out and I lay out my plan. And usually it's more aggressive than the doctor's plan. And 9 times out of 10, this is the way I do it. And I gotta tell you, if it was my practice, I want to be the first at the finishing line. That's all I want to do. And how do I do that? I want to be the first on the search engines, number one. I need to be, for my practice and my location and what I do, I want to make sure that I am going to be the guy who's going to be the go-to guy, the answer guy. And I want to make sure that I'm answering people's questions. That's very, very important. So that's one thing I want to share with you. And the other thing I want to tell you is that your information, whatever information you have about your practice, it should be available. So when people call and they ask about root canals, they ask about mini implants, or they ask about different types of whitening programs that you have for teeth, or it could be Invisalign, whatever it is, it has to be available. And I would also impress upon you that the information should be downloadable at some point, either in PDF files or in audio files. It should be downloadable, okay? That's very, very, very important. Look at this for a moment. Now, the big picture tells us that an alternative care alone, that's a $33 billion industry per year. And that's very important to remember. So people are out there spending it somewhere. If they're not going to spend it with you, they're going to spend it someplace else. And that is why you want to be the Q&A guy for all of your clients and patients that are out there, because it's very, very important that you're available for them. Okay. The other thing I can tell you is that you want to make sure that you have testimonials available, either in audio or in video. Personally, I like them both, but I like video a little bit better because that can go viral in some cases, and also it's a great way to get the message out about your practice and what you do. This could be the game changer for you, and I want to give you 2 examples of how this can happen. I had one client. He was a chiropractor, and I'm working with this guy trying to double his practice, and for the life of his practice, he could never figure out who his clients were. He would do basic care, neck adjustments. He would do basically a little bit of nutrition, but he didn't specialize in any one area. He was kind of all across the board. And when we started working together, I started putting press releases together for him. We started doing some video. We barely got started, and the strongest response that we got back from the media, in other words, the strongest response of all of the press releases that we've done, the majority of them were being republished in parent websites, parent, family, children websites, for weight loss, for women and for children. He didn't realize that was a intended target market for his business. Didn't even realize, never considered before selling to women only or selling to children for obesity. And I basically outlined that there was a significant need for this in his practice. There's a whole market sector in his backyard that he wasn't even paying attention to. And that's impressive to me, that person could be so blind to it. Now, we were able to kind of fix it in such a way that we addressed the website and tuned up the pages. So those media clips and web pages and press releases would get picked up in those markets and come up in a typical search for what he offers. And that was quite impressive. So that's a really, really important thing that I want to impress upon you. You need to really pay attention to who's reading your stuff and why they're reading it and who your potential clients can be. Number 2, I had a dentist. Dentist was a great guy. Problem was he had no confidence. He came from, I believe he came from Lebanon, and he had a very, very thick accent, and he thought that kids wouldn't dig him, and didn't think to get in front of a camera because he's very camera shy. He had all his excuses. And I said, well, listen, let's do one clip of you talking about the kind of dentistry you do. And so he did, and he has his wand, and it's still on YouTube to this day, actually. Picks up the wand and says, this wand gets rid of cavities. It's also for painless dentistry. And he had a very, very thick accent. He wore his white lab coat, and he kind of reminded me of one of the characters from Nickelodeon, Dexter's Laboratory, which kids love that. They love that character. And that's kind of how he came off. He came off in this very, very, very likable, very, very charming way. And little 5-year-old kids saw this clip. Now, it was not intended for them. It was intended for someone else, parents mostly, adults. But the kids went and told their kid sisters and their kid brothers, look, there's a dentist down the street. He's a painless dentist. Tell Mom that I want to go. We should all go. And it was the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds that really convinced the parents to come down to this dentistry office and get their teeth worked on. And to this day, he is known as the kid's dentist. He's the family dentist. And he tripled his practice and actually quadrupled it to the point where he has a full practice. I heard recently that he sold that practice for a considerable amount of money, and it is really, really impressive because before there was no focus, there was no direction of where this practice could go. That's the kind of stuff that can happen. And if you want to double your practice, and if you want to find out who your audience is, by all means, contact us directly. I got a couple of great websites here for you. Extreme Dental Marketing is definitely one of them. You want to check us out on there. But also come to theendofadvertising.com. We are answering all kinds of questions like this as it pertains to your business. I am Ted Cantu. My number here is 248-631-9211. Coming at you live from the Motor City, Metro Detroit. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for listening.